Hey everyone, it's Susan Beers Thompson, and welcome to the weekly vlog. I'm here with a special guest, first time ever, introducing my beloved mother, Mariah Perkins. Welcome to the vlog.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, thanks for joining me.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. So you have been on your own food journey, and you've raised me on my food journey, and
Yeah.
it's it strikes me that there's some things we could talk about here. Like for one, about genetics, right? And environment and propensity for weight gain and relationships to food and mother-daughter dynamics and all that. What was it like for you raising me and being on your own journey with food and then raising me on my journey with food?
Golly. Well, you raise a couple of possible topics there. Let me dial back first to the genetics bit. Um, I'm 74. I live near Susan in Rochester, New York. I weigh 108 and I'm 5 foot tall. And that's about as much as I've ever weighed in my adult life, except for lactating and being pregnant. It really is. So I don't have a problem with weight particularly. And I'll get a little bit more to that later. But I want to talk about genetics first. I had three tall grandparents and one short grandparent, and I had two tall parents. My mother was 5'7", my father was 6 feet. And all three of those grandparents were tall for their lifestyles. But I had one short grandparent. My father's mother, a Welsh woman, was 5 foot and plump, and her two sisters were plump, and their mother was plump.
Mm.
Great grandmother was plump. So Susan was born with a father who was 5'9", and as you know, I was then 5'2". Susan could have easily gone either way, but she also got the fairly short gene. She may have gotten the plump gene. That is a distinct possibility. Having also gotten that short gene that correlated. We'll
Yeah.
never know. But when Susan was born, she was 6 pounds 9 ounces, very standard, easy delivery and pregnancy, delivery, and
I was
childbirth.
born on my due date.
Very textbook, born on the due date, natural childbirth. 6 pounds 9 ounces, and at that time I was a dutiful hippie natural foods person, and I was following Adele Davis's "Let's Eat Right to Have Healthy Children." I was taking milk drinks with lecithin and choline and inositol and extra protein powder and good oils, and I was eating all the vitamins, taking vitamins and taking the whole grains and the natural foods and all this. Uh, my milk came in easily and copiously. I was huge. It was crazy. It was a picture of me squirting milk. So we went for the 1 week checkup to the doctor, the little country doctor who had helped me with natural childbirth. And Susan in 1 week had gone from 6 pounds 9 ounces to 8 pounds 2 ounces. The doctor weighed her twice. He was so astonished. She loved breastfeeding and was very good at it. And in the 2 week checkup, she'd gained another pound. She was now over 9 pounds. She was the healthiest, most terrific little baby. She was just a wonderful baby. She made the markers. I won't go on and on, but she was way ahead of all the markers, crawling and walking and talking and all that stuff, standing up. And I was just so pleased that she was this healthy kid. And we were poor, but there was one thing that I knew as a parent. I did not know how to parent, but there was one thing I knew. I could provide food. I could cook. I could cook, and I could provide food, which was an inheritance from my wonderful, wonderful mother, her grandma, who Susan's related in previous blogs, really adored her. The only blood grandkid and the only daughter, blood grandkid. Really had Susan's number, thought she was a terrific kid, and kept saying, we've got to trim her sails. We've got to trim her sails, but isn't she marvelous? Anyway, so the problem was I had addictive tendencies toward food. And if Susan said, no, we've got to go out for pizza. I need spaghetti. I want to go to to Just Desserts and get croissants. I couldn't fight it. I would abandon all the good food in the refrigerator and off we'd go. And Susan would get what she needed for her fix. So now I'm dialing back into what it was like to raise her and be a parent of this kid. Yeah, Susan needed 2 croissants and extra butter for the pasta. And I honestly didn't recognize that as any kind of a problem because as a kid, I would go to the Dairy Queen and just order, half a thick cup of hot fudge and lie in my bed till I was comatose from it. And I would eat my mother's fabulous food and lie face down on my belly afterwards, groaning. My mother didn't have snack foods. We didn't have soda. We had 3 meals a day. She did desserts. And she struggled nevertheless within that with her own weight a little bit. Do you remember Susan? A little bit, Polly
No.
was a little
Grandma
bit
Polly
pumpy,
struggled with her weight? I don't
a
remember
little
that.
bit. And when she got depressed in her older years, so struggling to try to find the meaning of life and a spiritual practice, she'd turn to chocolate. She'd hide a big chocolate bar behind the novels and stuff like that.
No,
She did. She did.
really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
always picture her making her perfect little meals, one fried egg, one strip of bacon, one little piece of toast with butter judiciously spread. And I always thought she was so moderate with food.
Pretty much until she wasn't and hit it and
Well,
hit
that's
it.
like you, right? So
Bingo.
moderate until you're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But never going to the crazy lengths that I went to. Never, not even close. So,
No,
which
I dare say not. She
bring,
was not there. She was not particularly undignified in that sense with food.
mm,
Whereas I can be. I can rip apart that gross
rotisserie
whistle
chicken,
chicken,
rotisserie chicken.
really do damage. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
But and even when I'd go into your room and you'd be going, oh, and I'd find that bowl of cookie dough, 3/4 eaten, under the bed with a spoon in it, turning moldy, Um, even then I didn't necessarily detect a problem. Just kids, I gave a lot of latitude.
Mm,
But the tendencies were there at an early age. You loved food. You did food.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, so interesting. I mean, I see ways that we're similar with food, with our little hankerings. And then, one major way we've always been different is you have always, and I've so admired this and wished I'd had it, you have always had the stop button. You eat up to a certain point and then your satiety kicks in, your fullness kicks in, and you stop eating, like you or if you overdo a little bit, you'll then uh naturally not eat for a while. You'll just be like, oh, well, I ate a big something at 10 a.m. So now I'm going to eat hardly anything for the rest of the day. And I think that's how you have naturally never gained any weight to speak of. Um,
Much weight to speak of. Okay, I accept that. That's pretty accurate.
yeah. Whereas I seem to, as soon as I start eating too much, I'm eating way too much, and then I'm eating way too much again very quickly and again and again. And so my weight can just absolutely run away with me. It's so interesting. And your susceptibility score, you've taken the quiz, I assume more than once. And you're a curious case. You want to tell us about your susceptibility score and what you know about it?
I'd be delighted to, and a little backstory there as well. So, I've always had food as a concept in my mind. I've never sort of ignored food and just eaten a meal and gone on with my life. I've always had food in the background of my life. Um, and when you came to Gary and me, my husband and me, in 2003, and said that you had found a 12-step program for food and were interested in doing that, I perked up my ears. Can I go there and just say quickly
Yeah.
about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And both my husband and I said, okay, we are interested in that. We both came out of the closet and realized that we felt not 100% clean with our food just as a concept and as a reality.
Mhm.
So I think 3 weeks after you, we jumped into a 12-step program for food. My husband stayed in it for 9 years. I guess I shouldn't break his anonymity, except he says I can. He does say I can, sorry. And lost a ton of weight. I stayed 3.5 years, squeaky clean from day one. So that's where you credit my, ability to have some restraint around food. Until I decided that my story just wasn't similar enough to enough people to stay in it. I left the program. And from the day that I left the program till today, I've probably gained back. I was probably 02 or 03 in those days. I've gained back 5 pounds. And I've lost 2 inches. So that's not nothing in terms of the little indiscretions here and there that have gone on. So Bright Line Eating got established. I was thrilled. I thought it was just terrific. And I jumped in, I guess it was your second boot camp, the one that had the videos. Jumped right in and took the susceptibility quiz and really struggled how to answer the questions. I possibly am not a fully honest person in some ways. And that susceptibility quiz really required of me an honesty that I couldn't see or that didn't exist because I just go from this to that or that to this pretty
Or maybe
free.
you have different parts that see it different ways. Like maybe you have a part of you that's like that sees it as oh yeah, we're thinking about food way too much around here, and we rip into that rotisserie chicken and lose control, and this is a problem and we need to rein it in. And then another part of you that's like, hey now, look at the ways that people are different with food, and this isn't, when I rip into the rotisserie chicken, what am I really eating? Like,
come on, yeah, how bad
like
is that? Yeah,
small, I mean, really, because we've talked about this, right? Is that a binge? It's like it's got that feeling of out of controlness, and maybe you're eating it quickly, but you're not eating actually a larger amount of food than a typical eater would eat at a typical sitting. You're just eating it kind of fast and feeling kind of furtive about it, right? And
good,
which does
good.
not meet the clinical definition. So you have this other part that's like, settle down. This isn't a big deal. Really, we're pretty much in control of our food. Does that sound right? Maybe it's different parts.
Absolutely does. It absolutely does. Different parts identifying different ways of looking at it. Yeah.
So you could be like a 3 or an 8. Have you taken the quiz different times with those different
I have.
parts?
That's exactly right. I think I was never a 3. I think I was maybe a 4. And then at times, at my most despairing, I would be an 8. That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So interesting. I was thinking about it as I was preparing to ask you to maybe shoot this vlog. I was imagining, I think you're a 6.
I will split the difference. I love it.
I think you're a 6. I mean, yeah, from that perspective of, the challenges are there. And then also, just not as extreme as it really could look, I think the questions are kind of hard to answer if you see it different ways, Yeah.
So one reason I accepted to shoot this vlog with you, it would be so delightful to do that. And if I could be helpful to anybody, that would be great.
Yeah.
Was that I thought it would be an occasion for me to just tell my honesty the way you do. So the reason that I got to 108 lately is that just I feel like I'm in a place in my life where I'm needing to reclaim some of my power and my capacity and my honesty about what I really want to be doing with my hours in my days. I'm being a little too distracted too much and a little too uncertain. And I feel that I also have a place right now to be able to reclaim that, but food is in the way. Food is really in the way. I've almost been letting it escalate. That's how I got to 108 right now. Over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, little by little by little, perhaps in order to force myself into a crisis where I'd have to deal with something. And not long ago, I was saying, I just can't devote myself to a food program again. I just don't feel that I have that level of commitment. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What is a really easy quality food program that's not going to require too much commitment? Maybe I can just jump in and grab a sponsor and work the steps around food. I'm not sure I've ever actually worked the steps just around food, as odd as that sounds. But wouldn't that be useful? And I was dithering about that. Oh God, can I? And out came your book. Out came your book. And you most graciously sent it to me without telling me you were going to send it to me. And my husband's off windsurfing for a couple of weeks. So I was the one checking the mail. And there was your handwriting on this envelope. What could this be? I didn't think, but I knew you had just come out with this. Moi, her mother, thinks this is really a rather terrific volume. I have to say, I really do. And I came in, I opened it with great alacrity. It was October 3rd, Befriend the Body, and I wrote 2003, day one. Whoops.
Look at that.
And the next day, a little underlining,
Uh-huh.
and I still didn't join some food program or go to a meeting. And then October 5th, the 4 questions, and October 6th, Motive Matters. Whoop.
Yeah.
This book suddenly started to address exactly what I needed to be thinking about and come honest about. So one of the things that I do, a little organizer in my life, is I make lots and lots of lists. This is actually an old list. I didn't make it for this vlog. This is January 20th, 23. These are all the foods with a little bit of GERD without the R that I shouldn't be eating. These are all the foods that I can be eating. This is one of like 100 lists I've made in my life. You know, good for my belly. Here's another list. Here's a more recent list. If I ate these proteins, 7 days in a week, 2 meals in a day where I'm going to be eating solid proteins. I eat my grains in the morning. Mm-hmm. But here's my 14 meals. How would I break up my proteins and then veg, and the rest of it's pretty easy. So I'm thinking about all these things all the time. And your book came out about the 4 things to ask yourself. And I began to focus on that way of looking at it. I will honestly inventory what foods bring me peace.
Yeah, right. So the 4 questions, for anyone out there who doesn't know, it's a way of examining the foods that you're eating and deciding for yourself whether they're serving you, whether they're working for you. And the 4 questions are, do I have peace around it? Is it healthy? Is it messing with my weight? And is it escalating? Is it escalating? Like, am I eating more and more of it, feeling like I need, like a day wouldn't be a good day without it, that kind of thing. Is it escalating? And so you went back over your food lists with those questions in mind.
With those questions in mind, I honed down those lists. And factoring in this new willingness to be honest more about it. And I had to cross a few of those basic things off.
Wow. So Mom, what you're saying is basically you've done food recovery of various sorts, including 12-step, including bright line eating in the past. You were kind of plagued lately by wondering, what am I going to do about this? I love how you said your motivation was you want to bring your gifts more fully to the world. You really want a level of clarity and on point, on purposeness in your life. And you noticed that food was getting in the way of that. So it's not the weight, it's the mindset, it's the mental trip, and it's
all the way.
You feel the chatter there, and you just want that gone so you can be your best self. You're of tremendous service. I don't know really anyone who's of more service than you. I just want to say, I mean, I could toot your horn here pretty intensely. I mean, the people that you serve, the gatherings you have at your house, the refugees that you're tending to, not just in a superficial way, but like really driving them to their appointments and making sure that they're getting their paperwork completed that they can't read and understand, and taking people who need a place to live into your home so they have shelter. And, I mean, you're incredible. And the world is better off if you're not thinking about what you've eaten or not eaten, what you're going to eat, or, I mean, that's just a flat out waste of your spiritual, service orientation. So what you're saying is that this book arrived, and given your background, you're able to use the Daily Reader on this bright day and just everyone knows, we didn't talk about this in advance. This is not something else. This is literally, I'm just finding this out now. You're using this book to create your clarity around your food right now, just one day at a time. It's giving you the nourishment you need to stay on track.
I truly am. These things happen.
Oh, and you wrote your little day one on October 3rd.
Sure did. Next year, I'll see it again.
That's the beauty of a daily reader. Next year, you'll see it again.
Yeah, daily readers are really a huge part of my journey. I read, I learn from reading, as well as from listening and interacting and writing, all the rest of it.
So this book is going to be published October 24th. Can you think of anyone you might give it to in your life? Are you going to get an extra copy or two? And
yeah. Now that you say that, sure. Let me give that some solid thought. Multiple people, I'm sure.
Yeah. So as this vlog comes out, literally tomorrow, Thursday, where are we? Like smack in the middle of October, the food freedom videos are going to be released. And you did 12-step food stuff with me like long ago without knowing the science behind it. And then at some point, I'm guessing you watched those videos. I don't even know. Did you ever watch those videos?
Absolutely. I'm fascinated by your science. To me, that's a huge part of your credibility, and also just understanding oneself.
Yeah, right. So the videos are coming out. We're gonna, do another food freedom fall festivities like we always do sometime in the fall here. And those videos are free and people can share them. And then boot camp registration will start again. And people can start to register for the boot camp, and we'll get started here.
I wish they do.
So sweet. Mama, my sweet beloved mama.
Susan, Sudi, Woody, Woo. All 4 nicknames. Which one do I use?
Yeah. Sudi. We use Sudi.
Sudi.
Anything else you want to share with everyone before we sign up?
I'm so with this community in heart and soul. Just all the great, great blessings of a good life to everyone.
Well said, Mom. And that's the weekly vlog. Love you all so much. Bye now.
Did we do it?
We did it. We did it. Well done. As long as the damn thing recorded. I hope it did.